realized I hadn't filmed an intro for this video yet, so hi, welcome. I'm making my very first children's book. If you've been following along, this is only the second part. I actually started this about a year ago, right after college, and I talk about this in my last video about the inspiration and where it came from. I specialized in children's illustration and editorial illustrations when I was in college. After I graduated, I was on a mission to make a children's book, and then life happened. Things developed with my small business that I sort of put it on the back burner for a while, but we are now back to it and we are gonna finish it this year. I have organized all of my sketches and my manuscript from last year. I have refamiliarized myself with it. I have been looking more into publishing and how I want to publish the book, and we're going to continue on. This video is going to be a lot of sketching. I'm working through my sketches at the moment. So I'm picking up right where I left off. I'm about roughly halfway through. So we have our first spread here. These are more of like a thumbnail right now before I move on to the final. And then we move into the kitchen and we're introduced to Alder, his sister, and his grandma. This is a nice little kitchen scene. For the next spread, we have the walk to the picnic. A picnic scene with lots of kids and parents and dragons. We're gonna have a picnic basket here. I want like a little trail of ants. I wanted to make an Easter egg. I think I was gonna have it be like, oh, can you find the cat in each spread? Or can you find all the insects or something like that? So I'm gonna take note of that when I'm working on the final. And then we're moving into, is it all the yummy snacks? So this one is where I'm gonna move away from the full spread and do more of a spot illustration and having some white space. So we're gonna have this like flowy mass of food here of like picnic foods of like sandwich, strawberry, blueberry, oranges, cookies, cantaloupe, all that good stuff we're gonna have here. And then we have this spread, again, they're all thumbnail stages. We have Alder and the dragon. And then these are also gonna just be a spot illustration. This one I think is gonna maybe lean into this page a little bit. This one is with the grass blades. So we're gonna have dragon, Alder, his sister, cat, and got the blades of grass. So that's as far as I have gone. I copied and pasted this spread to the end, but I will make some changes once I get down this far. But this is basically where the story concludes, and then Alder finds out that it's him that makes it special. Yeah, I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more spreads. I've done a lot of research now of where I want to publish, and I think I'm going to use Ingram Spark versus Amazon for a few reasons that I'll get into in a bit. But I'm going to use Ingram, and then I'm going to do their 32-page book. 32 is pretty standard for a kid's book, and that's including sort of like all the pages. I may have to cut it down because right now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. But yeah, we're going to be doing more sketching today. So this week is all about making sure we have all the sketches out and we're really set to start working on it traditionally. So my plan is to finish all these sketches, go through and render them a bit more, and then I'm going to print them out at a larger scale so that I can trace it onto larger paper. And I'm going to just go right in with oil pastel. Continue working on these spreads. Hopefully I can have all of the rough sketches done by the end of the day. That's basically it. And then I can tell you more about the story. If you haven't watched the first part, that's okay. We're just jumping into it. This is only the second video of my children's book, but I do explain more in detail how I came up with the story, where I drew inspiration from, and what the whole story is. But today we're gonna just talk about lots of fun stuff like self-publishing, what I'm doing, and a little bit about the story, because it's fun to know what the story is as you go along and can see the illustrations match up with what the story is. Let's get drawing.
So I wanted to get into a bit about the story in case you haven't seen my previous video. This book is a story about a young boy named Alder. He is getting ready to go to a totally awesome dragon party picnic. So he gets all his stuff ready with his grandma and his sister and head out to the picnic. At the picnic, he gets asked, do you know what makes a totally awesome dragon party picnic? And he gets asked this from a dragon. And so throughout the book, it's a series of Alder guessing what makes it totally awesome from the snacks to the games to beautiful sky to the woven baskets and just a bunch of things, to which the dragon is saying, nope, not quite. Those are great things, but nope, that's not what makes it totally awesome. So Alder kind of gives up, and the dragon says, what makes a totally awesome dragon party picnic is you. And Alder's like, oh, and that's the book. It was inspired, actually, I'll get into it a little bit. I go into more depth in my previous video, but it was inspired by the question, what do you bring to the company, or what do you bring to the table? I, at the time, was kind of laughing like, ha ha ha, I bring myself to the company. And then I was like, oh wait, yeah, I bring myself to the company. I bring myself and all my skills and experiences and personality. So, and that's sort of where the book came through, because I thought a picnic would be a perfect analogy for that question. And I think it's a great message to instill in young readers that they are what makes something special, and just showing up and bringing yourself and being yourself is what makes a picnic, dragon party picnic even, totally awesome. So that's the book and sort of the inspiration behind it. I'm just gonna continue on drawing.
A little update. I just finished setting up my account with Ingram Spark, which is what I'm going to be using to publish my book. And I also just submitted an application for an ISBN account. Here in Canada, it's actually no cost to get ISBNs for books, which is great for self-publishers because that's not an additional cost that you have to worry about. Going in the right direction.
So I'm just going through an updated manuscript. I updated a few things, and I actually took away a spread just because it was one too many pages for the final. Here we're just writing out all the details that I want in each of the illustrations and what of the manuscript is going where, so I would assign each of the lines a page number essentially. But while we're doing this, I thought it would be a good idea to talk a little bit about publishing. I had mentioned earlier that I am choosing Ingram Spark over Amazon, and I wanted to get into that a little bit. When I was researching publishing, self-publishing especially, I noticed the majority of people were either using Amazon or they were using Ingram. Both Amazon and Ingram have their pros and cons, but for me, Amazon KDP was a little more heavy on the cons than Ingram was. One pro that is really significant for me is that with Ingram, most traditional retailers will shop through their catalog of books, so you have a higher chance of a traditional retailer, a school, a library picking up your book and having it available to them, which is my goal. I would love to see my children's book in schools and libraries and stores, whereas with Amazon, most traditional retailers are not going to shop through Amazon because they view them as a competitor, and they would probably not likely carry a book printed by Amazon. With Ingram, I'm able to reach a larger audience. My book will be in Ingram's database and in their sort of distribution center to over 40,000 retailers, I believe was the number. The one con to Ingram Spark, which is honestly not much of a con for me, saw quite a few people saying that this was kind of their make or break for them, and that's a setup fee of $50 to upload a book, and that the upload process just isn't user-friendly and not intuitive like, say, Amazon would be. And with Amazon, your book is free to upload, but they take just a fraction or like a cut of your sales. The other thing about Amazon that made me certain that I wanted to use Ingram was that Amazon won't, or can't, I should say, make hardcover books less than 75 pages. With a children's book, that's a bit too long. Traditional children's book is around 32 pages. That's, I think, the standard. And I would love my book to be a hardcover. Amazon can't offer me that. With Ingram, they can do that. I believe on Amazon, if you make a paperback, it can have 32 pages, which maybe I'll look into. Another good thing with Ingram is that even though you're print on demand with Ingram, you can still list your book on Amazon, so I still get that ecosystem. It's just not printed with Amazon, and I'm still able to get that 32-page hardcover book. So that was sort of my thought process on both of these publishers. I still am looking into sending out my book to a traditional publisher, a few publishers in the area, and just see what I get back. It doesn't hurt to reach out to see, but yeah, so that is where I'm at with the publishing. We are just gonna continue drawing. I'm essentially just making thumbnails for each of the spread. With the pagination that I had done last year in my sketchbook, I had a pretty good idea of what the sketches were gonna look like, and I sort of left my sketches on my iPad equally as terrible. So we're just going through and giving each spread an update and thumbnailing out exactly what the scene is. And then next week, we're going to take a look at finalizing each spread and moving into oil pastel. I think I may do a few more character sketches to get some movement and just have that for my portfolio as well, just full body character sketches, and that way I can practice my dragon illustration. But we're just sketching out the rest of these spreads. They are, again, just thumbnails, and then next week we'll move into finalizing them. So I'm sorry if this was maybe a bit on the boring side. We just talked about publishing and I'm just making some really loose sketches, but I do hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you will continue to follow along on publishing my first children's book. If you have any suggestions or advice, please comment them down below. But that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.